Please rise in body or spirit as we say together our Sunday covenant. Love is the spirit of our people, and service is our call. To build the beloved community, to seek fuller truths in love, to dwell together in peace, to offer aid and affirmation, and to tend to our mutual well-being. This is our covenant.
And we ask that you join us in the singing of our opening hymn. Come sing a song with me, hymn number 346.
Welcome to All Souls. Good morning. My name is Sharon Niss. I use she, her pronouns, and it's my honor to serve as your worship associate today. Whether it's your first time here or your 500th time, you are welcome. Whether you come ready to dance, ready to yell, ready to sleep, you're welcome. Whether you're here to bring a powerful message, you are welcome. Yes, we welcome Pablo de Jesus.
is Executive Director of Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice, and you may find him familiar because he is indeed one of our beloved All Souls members and friend among us. Pablo de Jesus will be speaking today on belonging. And as I reflected on that theme alongside Mother's Day, I kept returning to this truth. When we are mothered well by any gendered person, any relation or non-relation, we know where we belong. We know to whom we're accountable. We know who taught us the lessons that we carry with us. But we also know where we're safe, where we're seen as we are and still loved. And that's where justice work starts as well. Because justice is not just protest or policy. Justice begins when we decide that other people's children are our children too. Indeed. Justice begins when someone else's grief interrupts our own comfort. During my years doing community peace-building work in South Bend, Indiana, I felt this deeply as I saw my work as building a collective sense of we, a sense of collective belonging. Our city struggled with gun violence, and like nearly all communities in the US, we were highly segregated along class and race lines. Again and again, when our neighbors were wounded or even killed, the response by many on one side of the literal train tracks was, "What a shame. It's so unsafe over there. And how tragic." And for those closest to the violence, the responses were outrage, defiance to find justice, motivated actions to end the violence in the midst of their grief. What troubled me was the absence of a collective sense of we. Justice begins when we stop saying those people over there and instead learn to say our neighbors, our community, our responsibility. And more recently, when ICE began threatening neighbors in my own city, whose names I did not yet know, fellow activists rose up and claimed loud and proud, "These are our neighbors. These are our people. They belong here. We belong here." My neighbors were clear. Even though we might not all know each other's names and lives, we belong to each other. And that, to me, is a deeply maternal kind of justice. The kind that protects, the kind that nurtures, the kind that refuses abandonment. And I'm grateful that here at All Souls, we stretch our mothering muscles to try to build a place of belonging. And one of the ways, a small way, but still a way, that we do that is through the connection card. If this is your first time today, we especially hope you'll share your information on the card and drop it by the welcome table after the service with friendly faces as you join with us in coffee time. And for everyone, this card is one of the ways you can seek support, get involved, stay in touch. We hope this helps support your sense of belonging here. And we take a moment now to pause and recognize that a sense of belonging is not how the architects of Washington, D.C. designed the city or its institutions. While it was out of a desire to suggest that some people belonged here and some people did not, that lands were taken from the Piscataway and Anacostan people, that housing covenants and charters were drawn up to exclude rather than to include. and we still experience the effects of this lack of belonging, a safe space to call home, a place for accountability. And at All Souls, we remain committed to building communities of belonging, rooted in our shared UU values of interdependence, justice, equity, and pluralism. So in that spirit of commitment to belonging, let's welcome each other, online and in person, with a wave or a greeting, and let's remind each other we belong to each other. So you're welcome to mingle as you wish.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and
join me in the front, all ages, for a time for all ages? Yes! So, good morning, friends. Thanks for coming up. Well, today's Mother's Day, which is a celebration of not just our mothers, but everyone who does motherly things. From our aunts, our aunties, our grandmothers, our fathers, our pastors, everyone, your teachers, anyone who provides motherly assistance to you. So Mother's Day is much broader here because we want to make sure that everyone understands that our mothers are the people who are important to us and really kind of help us nurture. So today I'm going to talk about quilts because the sermon is about belonging. And so quilts to me is one of those amazing things that actually shows how we all belong together. So I brought in some quilts from my grandmother. So she's passed away long ago, but I brought in some memories of her to talk about quilts. Does everybody know what a quilt is? What is it? Right. And what does it do for you when you put a blanket around you? It warms you, right? So here is a quilt my grandmother built, or made, years ago, from scratch. Very proud of it. So this is a very dear quilt to me. So I keep it. I don't use it every day. I use it every once in a while because it means so much to me. When you make a quilt, you take pieces and parts of different things. It may be different fabrics that you have laying around. It may be different T-shirts and jeans and such to make a quilt. And I brought up a piece of an unfinished quilt my grandmother had started that I wanted to show you. So she's taken pieces of different types of fabric and material to put it together and weave it together. And why I find that so important is because we're all a part of the quilt here. We're all a part of All Souls Quilt. We're all woven together differently. We all bring different things to each of our existence here. Some of us are loud. Some of us are quiet. Some of us like to read. Some of us like to run and play. Some of us like to jump for joy. And some of us like to sit in a corner. But it's all important because without any of us in that quilt, it doesn't warm us. It doesn't help us have the joy that we need as a community. So that's so important. So how can you become a quilt, not just here, but outside? Any ideas? You can help others. Anyone else? Okay. So you can actually help others. You can actually invite someone to sit next to you that you don't usually sit next to. You can actually invite to share something of yours, which is like a book or a poem or just basically hanging out with each other. You can ask another person to join in on something that you do. So you can actually make a quilt, not just here, but outside in your classrooms and with your friends. Because it's important for us to be together and belong together because that's how we make our world warm and safe for all. Okay, so thank you for coming, and I think it's time for us to sing you to your next destination or back to your seats. Thank you for having us.
I'm Reverend Dr. Latanya Purnell. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm happy to serve as your liturgist today. In this season, we are reminding that belonging is not accidental. It's something we create in covenant. As we share these announcements, let us hold them not simply as information, but as an invitation into connection, to shared purpose, and to ongoing work of weaving community-rooted justice and compassion and joy. Even in times of tension, even when patience feels thin, we practice returning to one another. We practice remembering that belonging, not because we always agree, but because we are committed to stay in relationship. And as many of our wider cultures observe Mother's Day this weekend, we hold space for the fullness of this day. We celebrate and give thanks for mothers, grandmothers, caregivers, mentors, chosen family, and all those who nurtured life and love in countless ways. We also recognize that this day could carry grief, longing, complicated relationships, or remembrance of many among us. May this community be a place of spacious enough to hold both joy and tenderness together. We continue with the plant sale in memory and honor of Bob and Molly Freeman. We have in attendance their daughters, Nellie and Emily. Nellie and Emily, could you please stand? Thank you for sharing your parents with us, and thank you for sharing the whole vision of the plant sale. Migration Solidarity Team Speaker Series, the plight of Afghan refuge, with Sean Van Drivers in the Longfellow Room at 12:30. Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice brings two opportunities to your attention. On Tuesday, May 12th at 8 p.m., All Souls members are invited to the kickoff event via Zoom for Covenant for Our Future. Covenant for Our Future is a national multi-faith coalition bringing together diverse organizations, leaders, and communities committed to advancing moral policies rooted in justice, dignity, and compassion. Its purpose is to set forth moral, faith-rooted demands for repeal of H.R. 1, the one big, beautiful, ugly bill. Sorry. And renew federal government's commitment to justice to start the power building and narrative framing required for the long-haul work. RSVP for May 12th at Affirm in Covenant. The following week, on Wednesday, May 20th, immigration justice advocates are continue together for Care for One, Not ICE, march and rally to decry Congress's decision to spend $70 billion with a B on ICE and border protections, instead of helping families with affordable health care, groceries, gas, utilities. ICE has become the death machine, and hundreds of immigration allies in working with families affected by cuts of SNAP, Medicare, and ACA are coming together in DC to say enough. UUs are asked to join and support RSVP. Organizers say we need you there with us. And now we're turning to the life of the community. This is a place where joys and struggles are met. This morning, let us send prayers for swift recovery for Bob Thurston, who suffered a fall while in California from his nephew's wedding. Right now, he's unable to walk, but x-rays and CAT scans found no fractures, so he is confident he will recover sooner rather than later. We lift up Susan and Chris Milner. Both of their mothers are in serious health concerns in recent months, and Susan's mother's in her hospice care. May they find comfort, peace, connection where it's possible. And this is the sadness that we share with member emeritus P.T. Murray, also known as Isabel Murray, died on May 1st at the age of 90. She joined All Souls in 1969 and was known for her commitment to social justice, her elegance, and her love of music. She's shown here with the beloved late husband, Bob. We send condolences to her children, Robert, Susan, and Diane, and all who knew her. And in this moment, I invite you into a brief silence to lift up, aloud or in your heart, the names of people, places, causes that you carry with you in your heart. May we continue to be people who call one another not out, but into relationships. Please join me in prayer. Spirit of life and love, source of connection that moves through us and among us, teach us how to stay connected to one another in times of tension and uncertainty. Help us to listen with compassion, extend grace freely, and remember that justice is not only what we seek, but how we are living together. Give us thanks for all who nurture, guide, and care for others. On this Mother's Day weekend, we hold space for those carrying joy, grief, longing, or complications and emotions. When we feel weary, sustain us. When we feel divided, call us back into covenant and community. Weave us into beloved community, strong enough for justice, wide enough for all, and grounded in love. And now, let us continue in prayer through song. May it be so. Now I have the honor of introducing Pablo de Jesus. He is the Executive Director of Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice in Washington, D.C. advancing UU values in the federal policies sector of Washington, D.C. In the background in government affairs, independent expenditures, nonprofit development, and social justice advocacy, Pablo continues to a wide array of policy initiatives and campaigns. His work at UUSJ covers many issues and addresses systematic injustice in the federal governments. Pablo is the chair of the Washington Interfaith Staff Committee, one of the longest-running coalitions in D.C. that is rooted in civil rights era and collaborated with Dr. King. He participates in the Faith Table at Georgetown University and the Center for Faith and Justice. He facilitates the UU Climate Justice Coalition and steering committee members of Green Faith Covenant in Our Future. Pablo de Jesus, we are so lucky to have him.
Good morning, All Souls. Good morning. It's so lovely to be in front of so many friends, people I consider family in one way or another. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Beloveds of all souls, peace to you in the name of love, both practical and sacred. I'm accustomed to giving a visual description when I appear in a pulpit, so I'm going to do that. My most prominent feature is my baldness and clean-shaven head in the style popularized by Michael Jordan in the late 90s. At least I tell myself I look as good as he did. I maintain a goatee. I often wear glasses. I present to many Americans, at least passive observers, as a swarthy or white ethnic person. Keen observers sometimes note my mulatto, that means biracial, and mestizo, that means indigenous elements of my ancestry as a Puerto Rican. Today, my most prominent piece of clothing is this bright blue blazer, and I hope it doesn't offend your eyeballs too much. So on this Mother's Day, I would like to dedicate my preaching to all those who have nurtured me in ways large and small. In particular, I want to celebrate my own mother, Susana de Jesus, as well as the various members of my council of aunties, those who have guided me on my path in life, love, and career, sometimes giving information and advice that I didn't ask for, but too often being correct in that advice. But also, so many of you here at All Souls have nurtured me, shared your wise counsel, helped me see around the corner in life, and made me feel like All Souls is a spiritual home defined by fellowship and community, and is a place where I belong. So I thank you. Now, there are many names in our congregation that have helped engender that feeling, and we'd be here forever if I started listing them all. But since I'm here to preach today about belonging specifically, I must mention one name: Meredith Higgins Hargrave. Now, some of you know that it was a joyful accident that my household ended up here at All Souls. That plus Fortuna's intervention in the guise of Meredith. My wife and I were church shopping up and down Church Row. We'd agreed when we got married that we were going to be a church-going couple. And my wife was very specific. That did not mean once a month. That meant every Sunday. And sometimes Vespers on Wednesday. And lots of, church activities. And we'd been attending a church at the time in another part of town. But I was having trouble with the high church services. And I wanted something more modern and with better music, something at least with a tambourine and a beat like I was accustomed to in Puerto Rico. So we agreed to look for something with a more community church vibe to it, perhaps an immigrant church. And one spring Sunday, we were on our way to a church, a different church, just a couple of blocks away from here. We'd heard good things about that church. And we were walking past All Souls with its doors thrown wide, all the different doors, probably because we don't have air conditioning, but we didn't know that at the time. And we heard this lovely, joyful, earnest singing in Spanish. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí. Now you see why I never stayed on the choir when I tried for like 2 minutes. We came in because we were curious about this seemingly Anglo church where they were singing Spanish. We stayed for the services that day, and we discovered a gem hiding in plain sight on the corner of Harvard and 16th called All Souls. And over time, we came back. We liked to sit in the back area over there with all the families, with little ones. We still do for the most part. And at that time, we had 2 services, and we were across from this big gaggle of 20 and 30-somethings, mostly couples who seemed to be like extending the Saturday night date into the Sunday morning, right? And, it reminded me a whole lot of sort of medieval descriptions of major cathedrals, spaces and their uses. It was really awesome. And it was sort of like, bam! That's how we roll here at All Souls. Everybody mixed in with each other, every which way, in so many colors, shapes, and sizes, inclinations of behavior and thought. All holding it together was this natural and comfortable sense of belonging. It felt like a spiritual home outside of our tiny, very tiny apartment. And during one of our earliest visits, not the first, but the first couple ones, Meredith came up to us, and said something like, I notice you guys have been attending All Souls recently. Do you have any questions? Can I help make sense of All Souls for you? Could I perhaps introduce you to some interesting people? And one way or another, she introduced us to so many of the people that I've come to know and cherish and value and have relationship with over the many years that we've been here at All Souls. First lurking, then eventually members. And it felt like the next thing I knew, Meredith had me enrolled in a Roots and Wings class, plugged into Young Souls. She got my wife to volunteer for the lunch services. She got her plugged into Green Souls. She stressed the importance of covenant groups in forming community. She shared with me what she thought of various sermons, because Meredith always had copious notes and opinions about services. And that's great. It helped make services and life here at All Souls feel live and juicy and personal. The following year, she invited us to her house for Thanksgiving, because she'd heard from one of us that we were strapped for cash and couldn't afford to travel home. The point here is that Meredith is amazing, and we have many amazing members of All Souls, but it's that she embraced us in love and gifted us a sense of belonging. Meredith belonged to All Souls, and then she extended that sense of belonging to us. So thank you, Meredith. I deeply appreciate that. Now, that personal experience aligns with research that I've had the opportunity to review and hear about and read from Professor Hari Hahn of Johns Hopkins, formerly of the Obama campaigns, who sort of focuses on this idea of how vibrant, effective communities of faith engage in transformative work. More often than not, belonging actually begets belief, rather than belief giving rise to belonging. In practice, it's less about a focus on purity tests, at least on the front end of relationship. And it's more about trust that the worldview and belief system will be transmitted through consistent exposure and engagement. But I've also seen that same dynamic in my work, traveling the region and the country, collaborating with Unitarian Universalists from all walks of life and political persuasions, working with non-UU partners. When I first joined Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice as executive director, I came across what we refer to as a close hold white paper by another faith tradition that was written about Unitarian Universalists. They were surprised when our General Assembly was scheduled to take place in Salt Lake City, and they were curious about who we were and what kind of folks would be descending on Salt Lake City. Maybe they were a little worried about poaching and proselytizing. I don't know. In that white paper, they found, at the time at least, that on any given Sunday, UUs had more first-time visitors to our houses of worship than they did. And that our theology and spiritual message seemed to resonate with those seeking alternatives to traditional organized religion or fleeing some version of religious trauma in another faith tradition. But we had no substantive culture of welcome or systematic process for follow-up and retention. We did not actively work to show visitors that they could belong in our houses of worship. And I remembered thinking at that time, that was not my personal experience, not at All Souls. We showcase compassion. We care for our neighbors. We engage with each other. We live an expansive version of belonging. We belong to that pesky tribe of people who put their hand to the tiller and the oar. We navigate tough terrain and choppy seas, and for the most part, we arrive together. And even if you didn't know it, you belong to Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice, and we to you. All Souls is a founding member of UUSJ. We are optimists, idealists, and pragmatists in the pursuit of justice. As UUs, we belong to each other in the work for justice on behalf of love. I'm going to ask you to do something. Can you turn to your neighbor and say, "We belong to each other"? That's right. Now, I want you to turn the other way and say, "I'm in covenant with you." That's right, because you have a neighbor on the other side, too. Now, I feel that's a legacy of care worth remembering and celebrating in this season of high tension and low forbearance. Because by all accounts and signals here in the United States, we are in for a continued troublesome winter of discontent, as Shakespeare put it, at least for the most vulnerable among us. And as things continue to get challenging, I want you to remember that we have been together in this work through ebbs and flows of energy, focus, attention, desire for the work at hand. And this relationship of ours as UUs has endured. We have shown the capacity for spiritual, disciplined engagement when times have asked us to do so. And we need more of that to build it out further, to start with our denomination, our houses of worship, our particular church, and take it beyond. We must continue to find other communities of like mind and similar spirit and begin journeying together in defense of our democracy. We must relearn the skill, the abolitionist zeal of the great weaving that our forebears have channeled in the past. Our principal constraint as UUs, certainly at UUSJ, tends to be a lack of resources for the work. It's not actually a lack of clarity or creativity or know-how or gumption. It's the resources to execute at the level that we as Unitarian Universalists expect and the moment demands. And sometimes it's actually getting UU attention for UU projects. Yet more than anything, I want my time in the pulpit today, my time together with you in this way, to be seen as a personal message of thanks for your fortitude and commitment to justice, because we've always had one here at All Souls. In this faith centered on love, we have covenanted to hold each other in care and compassion. Living up to those commitments can be difficult, but we need each other. We need deep-throated boosters for our positive, inclusive vision of America. We need steel-spined defenders of compassion and care. Our nation needs us for that. We're now facing a season where the winds have shifted in our capital, and it is much the same for many other parts of the United States. Now, we're all experiencing a version of federalism that has descended upon we the people, that brings challenges to free speech, access to the ballot box, a seeming disregard for constitutional norms, an indifference to local community autonomy, and an apparent ease with unlawfulness. Those challenges, combined with an appetite for political retribution, make this a bitter moment. This is no longer only about political or policy differences. This is now about what it means to be an American, to belong to this great, optimistic, humanist experiment in democracy. Or maybe it's always been that way. Maybe that's the trial at the core of our American identity. Bottom line, it seems like everybody is at risk. Everyone who belongs to our tribe of optimists seems to be targeted. Climate justice activists and the nonprofits they serve, racial justice advocates and the community-based organizations that drive the work they do, agitators for LGBTQ equality and rights, defenders of dignity for trans people, advocates for the poor and the institutions that serve humble people, DACA recipients, and even the dreamers, as well as refugees and asylum seekers, and the communities that embrace them. Even the children, especially the kids, and the families that are rearing them. And the lawyers, and the judges, the doctors, the clergy, the social workers, the civil servants, the scientists, and all the professions that they pertain to. This moment is leaving us feeling under constant assault, personally or by extension through our kith and our kin. We are feeling at the mercy of that bone-chilling wind. The tapestry of justice we have been weaving since the merger of our two houses, Unitarian and Universalist, is being frayed. In DC, we're at the epicenter of intense federal activity and operations. Many of us are more familiar with what's going on than most in the United States. For most Americans, DC is the swamp or the Beltway bubble or some other cute phrase that's way far away and doesn't have direct impact on their day-to-day lives, at least not obviously so. Yet once again, DC has been positioned as one of those national boogeymen among several others, Chicago, Portland, etc. And perhaps we will be set up as the excuse for the deployment of more National Guard troops, perhaps with an eye towards invoking the Insurrection Act to dampen voter participation and further the apparent authoritarian consolidation. We have indeed seen an increase in military and police presence in our streets, in our communities, and the disappearance of our neighbors and friends, most of whom are undocumented or unhoused. Others are here legally, and some among them appear to be citizens according to certain reports. And now the Supreme Court has greenlit gerrymandering. Last fall, they effectively greenlit racial profiling. So it's likely to get worse. We are upon the precipice of racial authoritarianism akin to Jim Crow. Some say we're moving in the direction of a de facto dictatorship or an apartheid state. Many of the Unitarian Universalists in Minnesota that I talked to in and around the mobilizations in January clearly named what's going on as tyranny and flirtation with fascism. Many people feel compelled to carry their papers with them at all times, yet they are unsure if those documents will actually protect them. Have you asked your BIPOC friends, especially black folk, how they feel about the Voting Rights Act decision just recently? Dr. King's antidote to the nobodiness produced by centuries of systematic racism and segregation in our country was his concept of somebodyness that the civil rights movement made manifest with the VRA. The court just said nope and said it's okay to thin and diminish voter voices to near voicelessness. Robbed of their voting somebodyness, rendered back into voting nobodyness? If the people have no real and substantive mechanism to consent to be governed, to vote and participate and be heard, then the compact between those who govern and those who are governed is all but rendered null and void. And they're not alone. Their harm is not isolated. We belong together. This looming harm is real and concrete for many of us. I worry about traveling to and from my wife's hometown in El Paso, Texas. We worry about our 10-year-old and how he might have to prove he's a citizen and whether he knows at least 3 telephone numbers in case something really bad happens to him. And who would we call? We have no lawyers in our family. What will we do? We don't really have the resources to mobilize. Is that what Thomas Jefferson called life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Is this the Republican form of government for the states we separated from monarchy to achieve? I was on a call with national leaders in the civil rights space, policy space, And the through line in most of the comments was, it's probably going to get a whole lot worse. And we need to stick together. And we need to be in fellowship and solidarity to get through it. If being a nation that adheres to agreed upon covenants and conventions of our Constitution means being for law and order, well, then I'm all for that. But if being for law and order is a thinly veiled accusation that I or my wife or my child don't belong, then I will defy and resist that hasta la muerte. And if it means my black friends and my Afro-Puerto Rican family members will be silenced and othered, I will defy that pa siempre. Friends of All Souls, we need to remind ourselves that we are compatriots for a progressive, pluralistic, and inclusive America. And that is the America to which we belong. So please do it again. Turn to your neighbor and say, we belong to each other. And then turn the other way and say, we are woven together in love. History teaches us that when such a winter of discontent descends upon us, the winds cut harshest for those who are poor and marginalized and othered. To use the biblical term and frame, those who are the stranger or the sojourner. Make no mistake, you are a stranger to this pernicious fellowship in favor of a minimalist democracy, a republic of plutocracy and oligarchy. Exodus 2:22 King James is somewhat apt here. We're all strangers in a strange land, one that increasingly celebrates autocracy, authoritarianism, flirts with Christian theocracy, and openly embraces Nazism. We're all cognitive foreigners in that realm. Have you seen the viral videos of people saying, yes, I'm a fascist, or some version of, I want to use the democratic process to achieve a religious state? Many of us yearn for a return to our promised land of freedom and liberty, even if it was imperfect. And let me tell you, as a Puerto Rican man, it was imperfect. In our faith, we proudly attest we are all born in original blessing, and we belong to each other in the great human family. We are weavers. We bind threads of belonging to compassion, fellowship, and solidarity, and we knit them into a tapestry of justice. Yet it is not just the stranger under attack, it is all of us in our care and our compassion, our weaving of justice. History teaches us that those who have the moral fortitude and spiritual discipline to defy Caesar and Rome, the hegemony, as it tries to convince us and forsake our power, to trick us into thinking we are alone in our fear and our consternation and our desire to object, may indeed suffer. And in such an hour, we must remember that we do not serve the state, but instead we consent to be governed by it. And we are the conscience of our own body politic. That is where our spiritual discipline belongs. Our sacred texts and faith tradition call us to lead with moral courage rather than to follow in fear and turn a blind eye to injustice. We must remember that. As a faith tradition, we refuse to be silent. We need to lean into every possible instance, each small effort, and every act of defiance that we can manage. Each time we lean into the example of the Buddha or the Good Samaritan, we are working to bend the moral arc of the universe towards justice. Each time we recall the biblical proverbs or hadiths or Mishnah that teach us mercy, compassion, and community care, we're living into love as a sacred religious value. So I ask you to continue taking your place shoulder to shoulder, both literally and figuratively, with those suffering the harm. Let the people around us know that All Souls has not forgotten them or forsaken them. Declare publicly and loudly that our faith is grounded in love. Roar like lions, like a pride of lions, that our tradition has sympathy and offers fellowship. Collaborate with WIN and with UUSJ. Support the needed work. Yes, go forth and bring verve and zeal for this work into other spaces. Remind everyone this bitter wind can drown out any single voice, but together we can be a mighty chorus. We are beyond silencing. When we live into our liberatory theology, we're weaving justice. This is loving work. We must be both strategic and practical. We must put spiritual steel into the soil. However, faith-grounded spiritual discipline requires that we cultivate hope. So we remember when Reverend John Cresswell preached to us, for every contraction or re-entrenchment, we will eventually see an expansion and a flowering. The morning always comes, the winds eventually shift, and the people's progress is the spring thaw after winter. For we know that the long arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. But injustice is a rigid, persistent human tendency. That is the struggle that requires our attention. To bend the arc requires many hands shaping the curve with love. That is where we belong. It's an effort where each person must weave their little bit of the cloth, and each generation grasps its corner of the tapestry. That is our community. That is what we at UUSJ strive to do, in part bringing an unremitting Unitarian Universalist presence to work in the federal forum here in Washington, D.C. And it's never easy, but it's always worthwhile and meaningful. And that is why, on behalf of UUSJ, we welcome your support of this work with your attention. But more than that, please side with love, defy hate with joy, refrain from indifference, remain in fellowship with each other. Remember that we are the weavers and we belong to each other. Blessings and peace, all souls. May it be so. Amen. Ashe. Y O Mateo.
At this time, as you reflect on those powerful words, I invite you to turn your attention again to your connection card, and we invite you to reflect on what you've heard as well as this week's question. Who at church has nurtured you in your belonging to our community? As the music plays, you're invited to fill out your connection card on both sides. belongs to us. We do belong to each other. We take care of each other. We take care of each other's children. And to that end, this month, we are sharing 50% of our non-pledge plate offerings with Beacon House, located in the Edgewood neighborhood of Northeast DC. Founded in 1991 by Reverend Don Robinson, a UU minister affiliated with All Souls, Beacon House provides high-quality after-school education and youth development services to nearly 400 children annually. We encourage you to give generously to them, as well as to support the ongoing mission and ministries of All Souls.
Now, hear these words of benediction. Go now in joy and courage, knowing that we belong together. May we honor the love and nurture of Mother's Day by showing up for justice, speaking truth, and caring for our neighbors in a hurting world. Go in peace and in action. Ashe and amen.